Cheers.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. Well, I've been better.
Me too. Honestly, we're like two old ladies, aren't we?
Yeah, but at least I'm old. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. No, well, yeah, I'm a bit fucked, but it's alright.
That's good.
It's alright. I hope you're getting better.
Yeah, I'm actually loads better. For people wondering, actually, hi everyone watching. This live was actually meant to happen last week, but Nena and I are old ladies. We both had like some kind of medical problem.
Yeah.
I was covered in like infected wounds, and yeah, I didn't feel up for it, but I'm feeling better. Everything is healed. Everything is healed. I'm just gonna be left with scars. But I mean, some people say scars are sexy, so
Yeah, whatever. The important thing is that they're healing. So
exactly, they're not infected. That's all I wanted.
Well, I broke something inside my knee. I still don't know what. So last week when we were supposed to have the live, I was gonna get the MRI to see what's broken. So it's very likely I'm gonna get operated and get a really nice scar there too. And for sure, I won't be able to walk for the whole summer. So.
Oh, no. Well, that's the perfect excuse to lay on the beach and do nothing.
Yeah. The bad thing is that I'm an online teacher, so I can work with broken knee. So
yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay home.
No excuse. Okay, then so what we're gonna do is to do a quiz, right? Which is gonna be about the learning process, facts, lies about it, and we're gonna give you some tips for, I don't know, learning vocabulary, and we will see. Yeah. So, but first of all, cheers again.
Cheers. I've got milk tea. I think, I told you, didn't I? You said, I'm going to get a beer, because I was also going to get beer. But honestly, I'm so tired after teaching today. I thought, if I have a beer, I'm going to fall asleep halfway through this live. So I thought I need some caffeine.
Well,
so I have tea.
You can drink whatever you like. I mean, it's not compulsory to have a beer.
Yeah.
I'm having a beer because it's the end of the day and it's a good way to relax. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a PDF I'm gonna show. This is always a mess, but I don't know why I keep doing it. But for you to take a look at it.
We love chaos and broken systems. Yeah. Oh, I can see it. It looks good. Yeah, it looks fine.
So, first round, basic facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with the right training, you can speak English as a native in A, 3 months, B, 9 months, or C, bullshit. Don't let him fool you. So what do you people think? Let me gonna get.
Okay, so everyone write in the comments, write in the chat, A, B, or C.
Yeah.
With the right training, how long does it take to sound like a native?
Yeah. So
3 months.
Said 3 months.
9 months. Yeah, no one said 9 months.
Some C's there. I think
I'm happy to see the majority are C's. Yeah. Good. Which one do you think it is?
Yeah. So exactly. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So please, people, don't let them fool you with, this kind. I really hate it when you get this kind of ads like speak English as a native in a year. It's like,
Exactly. Oh, it's just the one word that I can give it is like it's just cringe. Like it's just pure cringe. I'll write that in the chat because many people may not know what cringe means. But cringe is like it's like that horrible, like embarrassing, like feeling, that you get inside, like yeah. It's like the only way to describe it is like inside,
because it's a feeling. But,
yeah.
And I think first of all, nobody needs to sound as a native. You have to sound correct. You have to get yourself understood, and that's the important thing. Not to sound, because as a native, which native,
Exactly. It's funny because I've had so many I was gonna say compliments is the word. Comments. Oh, see, I'm tired. I've had so many comments, particularly from native speakers, because I have like a bit of a mixed accent because I'm from York, but I teach and I've traveled, so my accent has kind of changed into this like softer Yorkshire accent. It's still there a little bit, and I get asked like, am I Dutch? Am I Polish? Am I Russian? Like I get asked all these questions quite frequently,
It's happened to me in Spanish too when I go to Seville, where I'm from, because I've lived in the Netherlands and I speak Dutch. I've lived in New Zealand. I've lived in Barcelona for a long time. So when I'm here, everybody knows I'm from the south. But then when I'm there, everybody asks me where I'm from. Whatever, So there is not such a thing like speaking as a native. You just need to communicate. I think that's the point, right?
Exactly. So long as you're understood. Like I get quite a few comments like, why are you trying to tell people to change their accent and stuff? And it's like, I'm trying to help people like be understood and also understand, because a lot of people are more used to American accents, and I think accent
feels one of stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. Social media, media in general, a lot of it's in American accents. And a lot of students of mine in the past, they moved to the UK and they struggled to understand things like, there's a car in the street. They're like, car? What's a car? And I would write it, and they're like, oh, car. Or car,
or whatever they say, car.
What I said.
Yeah, but and then really, you teach the English you speak, and you teach the English, or I teach the English I've learned, and it doesn't mean it's better or worse. But obviously, I'm gonna teach what I know. I don't never teach what I don't know. That would be quite stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, exactly. Like, I came under some like criticism, let's say, by this one woman who hates like YouTube, Instagram teachers and stuff. Just a very bitter woman, and she slid into my DMs one day and said, why are you telling people the way I speak? I say it like this. And I said, because I do say it like that. That's me. I'm not saying
I can tell you
all people say it.
Says it this way,
but yeah, she took it as like, but basically the way that she interpreted it was like, when I use I'm referring to all native speakers. I'm referring to myself like I native, we native, It's like, no, me. I just teach how I speak.
Yeah, of course. And this is the way and it's also, actually, I think it's quite humble. It's like saying, okay, this is the way I do it. It doesn't mean it's the only way. It's the way I do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. End of the story. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, let's go for the next one.
Question 2.
Yeah. 1 second. Question 2. So, it's impossible to learn English if you can't pay a teacher. So, is that true? Tricky one, huh?
Well, we want to say true, don't we?
Yeah. Yes.
You must have lessons with us.
So,
But no,
false,
thinking seriously.
yeah, false, even though having a teacher will help you in the learning process. Or false, and paying a teacher is a waste.
Oh, if anyone puts C, you're banned from the chat.
Yeah. You can leave now.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, well, lots of B's. We said we wanted to be A, but well, no, not really. Right? And well, B, definitely, yeah, definitely B.
I can't see any C's, which is good.
Yeah. Thanks, God. And yeah, so somebody said C. Seriously?
E.
Okay, you're out. A. Okay, so what do you think? Because I think that's what I think. I think it's false, and you can learn on your own on many ways. You can go to the place where the language is spoken. You can just learn from online resources. There are like so many ways to do it. But I also think that it's true that having a teacher will make the process, I don't know, it's not better or worse again, but a teacher can help a lot to guide you to do it in the best way, not to get lost with so many resources and so on, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because someone in the chat said, oh, what a strange question, but actually it's a question that even I've thought about as a teacher. Like, I'm a teacher. I know how to learn language. I've learned languages before, because I don't know if many people know this, but I set myself the task of learning a new language every year. So this year is the year of Japanese. So any Japanese speakers, hello. It's been a challenge. It's definitely harder than Spanish, but it's not as hard as what people think. I'm not saying it's easy, but I honestly thought I would be crying and quitting after like the first week. But I tell you something, when I first started learning Japanese, I was just doing it by myself. And I had so many questions about things, and I would ask online, or I would konnichiwa. We might get some Japanese in the chat now. I can read some, so so yeah, study English with JJ says konnichiwa, like hello. Can I speak Portuguese? Sim, eu falo português também. I speak Portuguese as well, because that was my last language I was learning. So yeah, going back to like my Japanese journey, I was learning by myself for about a month or two, and I had so many questions I was asking online, but I found that people, you know, they weren't so reliable. Maybe they wouldn't respond to me, or they didn't know how to explain something, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna get some Japanese lessons, and I'm in a group lesson, so it's not one-on-one. So I do these group lessons, a very small group, and any questions we have, my teacher knows the answers. And if I ask something and it's maybe a bit too advanced for my level, because funnily enough, what's easy in Spanish is actually really hard to do in Japanese, because the grammar is like this.
Yeah, it's another.
So nothing's as simple as saying like, oh, how do I say this sentence? Like, for example.
And then they are like, okay, sit down.
Well, no, she's like, Emma, I think you ought to leave that for the next course. But something as simple as saying I want, like in Spanish, it works the same as in English, more or less. I mean, some things change a bit, but you still have like that verb want. But actually in Japanese, it works differently, because you change the verb to express desire. You change the verb completely. And that's something I've not experienced before. So, yeah, little things like that I got really confused by. And having a teacher,
it can be also more enjoyable, even in a group lesson. You know, that when you are on your own, at a certain point, it can be frustrating, or. Yeah. But I think it can be more enjoyable when somebody gives you challenging activities, motivates you to do one thing or another, or when you're not sure if what you're doing is right or wrong, having, you know, like these words of, oh yeah, well done, that's the way that encourages you to keep learning and so on. So I think regarding motivation can also be quite positive having a teacher.
This is a really good point, actually. Someone mentioned once, this was a while ago actually, and I felt like this has really stuck with me. It kind of made me feel a bit sad. Someone sent me a private message and they said, hi Emma, I'm learning English, and in my country not many people learn English. I can't afford to have lessons. None of my friends want to practice English with me, and my family don't support me. And I thought, well, that's really sad. You know, that they want to learn English, but they just aren't in that environment. So sometimes having a teacher, whether you pay them, whether you do an exchange, because I do a Japanese exchange as well as my group lessons, you could do an exchange with people and teach them your language in exchange, you know, for learning English. And having someone to talk to can kind of like, I don't know, create like an atmosphere, like a bubble for you to practice. You have that support. You have someone like rooting for you and supporting when many people around you in the real world may not be, you know. Yeah.
Shall we go for the next one?
Let's, I'm also just quickly reading the chat. But
there are many comments.
Yes.
There was one. I thought it was interesting, which, let me see if I find it, because somebody said, I think it's necessary to have a teacher at the very beginning. Later, after B1, a person can learn by themselves. I think that's also kind of not true, but it's true that the more independent you are in the language, the easier it is to get an exchange, for example, because if you are a beginner and you can't really have a conversation, having an exchange can get difficult. Still, you can do it, but probably for many people that's true too. That's to start, because at the beginning everything is new, everything is confusing. So I think to start is not a bad idea to have a teacher to guide you, and then you will see, right?
Also helps you get rid of bad habits from the beginning. Yeah, like I can definitely tell which students have learned English, you know, through classes and teachers, and which students have learnt it like on the street. Like there's such a big difference, you know, between the type of English they use. I mean, like my Spanish, I learnt it on the street. Like I did have some lessons, and you know, I have tried with lessons, but actually I'm quite a bad student. Like I just don't really like grammar. I much prefer like communicating and then someone saying, you know, oh Emma, maybe it's better if you say it this way, or, you know, teaching me grammar that way in like a more communicative way. I mean, it depends on the learner. Some people love rules. When I was learning German, I loved rules with German, but with Spanish, I hate them. You know? But now
because the languages are different too. So sometimes definitely. You really need to get the structure, and Spanish somehow is quite flexible. So you have like a less percentage of failure if you mix words up than if you do it in German or in English even. And it is also, I always tell my students when they keep repeating the same mistakes, and I tell them like, be careful, because it's more difficult to get rid of bad habits than learning new things, no matter how complicated they are. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, someone said you can break the rules. That's true. Yeah, but don't break them too much, because then people won't understand you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna show you my third question, and then you go with your first round.
Yep.
So to learn a new language, it is a must to be in contact with the language as much as possible, do grammar exercises very regularly, or live in a country where the language is spoken. So this is somehow connected to what we've been talking about. So what do you think?
It's almost like we knew.
Yeah, kind of psychic. So, well, I had actually forgotten what my quiz was like, because I prepared it a week ago, you know. So A, lots of A's. Oh, there's a C there. So somebody's asking you what you're drinking.
Tea, milk tea. I saw someone also was asking me what languages I speak. I'm sorry if we don't get to your questions. Just keep putting them in the chat, unless it's like a really personal question. We'll get to it. It's because honestly, the chat is moving so fast.
So, yeah,
as soon as I see a question, it's like, bam, it's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm drinking tea, milk tea. And languages I speak. I never like to say that I speak languages because it implies that I'm fluent, and I'm really not. But English, of course, Spanish to like a B. I would say it's more like B1 level now. My Spanish has gone down so badly. It was higher before, but it's gone down. Portuguese is like A2, B1. German is like A2. I studied French for a little bit as well, but I really didn't get on with it. And Japanese is very basic. I can say basic phrases, basic grammar. What else? I did British Sign Language at university as well. What else? Some Catalan when I lived in Tarragona. So yeah, and I have a certificate saying that I have an A2 level of Catalan somewhere, deep in a box. I've never spoken Catalan since I left. But yeah, those are the languages I speak. How many do you speak? Is it English and Spanish? I'm sure you speak another one.
I speak Spanish, of course, and English. I speak Dutch fluently because I lived in...
That's the other one. Yeah.
I lived in Amsterdam for 7 years. So,
wow.
And, yeah, I started university there, actually. And then I understand German quite well because it's kind of similar to Dutch. And when I was living in the Netherlands, I went to Germany quite often because I had friends there. So at a certain point, my German was quite good. Now I forgot it a little bit. And that's it. I learned a bit of Maori when I was there. I learned a bit of Indonesian when I was in Indonesia. I speak Catalan. I don't know, maybe I'm, B1, B2, something like that. And that's it pretty much. Then I can say numbers in many languages because every time I travel, I learn numbers and basic sentences such as how much, what time, and stuff like that. So
yeah, beer. You can say beer in 10 languages.
Yeah, I can go to Japan and say namabiru.
Essential, yeah.
Because I was in Japan for a week and I learned the basics, you know. Sumimasen, just to call the waiter and stuff like that.
Biru, yeah.
So people say A, C, A and C, A and B. And I would say A, to be in contact with the language as much as possible. So I think that's a must because you can do grammar exercises or not, or you can see the grammar in context, and you can live in a country where the language is spoken or not. Many people speak English really well, and they have never been in to an English-speaking country.
Yeah. No, that's really true. Actually, some of the best speakers I've ever met have never even left their home countries, which is crazy to think that you don't need to go to the country where it's spoken. You can literally just learn it online. It's amazing.
And I think especially English, because there's English everywhere. We watch series in English and films, and English is available. You can read newspapers. I don't know, if you want to learn Maori, for example, it's going to be more difficult to find resources and to be in contact with the language. But with English, I think it's quite easy. You don't really need to go to an English-speaking country to learn it.
Yeah, exactly. You can go on like forums and things like that, or Discord servers. So many places to meet people to talk to. You don't even need to leave your house.
Yes,
People have no excuse.
exactly.
But you're right. Like when I was learning Portuguese, I found it really hard trying to find materials for Portuguese. There really weren't that many materials, and there's not a lot of like YouTube channels, for example, where they're teaching Portuguese.
Yeah.
I found it hard. For Spanish, there's loads. Japanese, loads.
Yeah, it depends on the language, really.
Yeah.
Not really on the people who speak the language, because I mean, you could say, okay, English and Spanish are languages which are spoken by a like high number of people, but Japanese is not, and still you can find a lot of resources. Yeah. So it's quite random.
Yeah. It really is, considering it's like a tiny island, you know.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. Shall we start with my questions, round one?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, let's see. I saw someone also ask me what's the hardest thing I learned about Portuguese. I think it was sorry, I'm just getting my pocket out. I think it was mixing it with Spanish a lot. That was hard. I was speaking a lot of Portuñol, which was not good.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my question. So round one. The best way to learn phrasal verbs is by memorizing lists, just avoiding them because people never use them anyway, or picking them up. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh my god, as if the native speaker made a mistake. Jeez. You're picking them up in context.
Everybody makes mistakes. People, that's the first thing you have to learn.
Yeah, I put that there on purpose.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Rules are meant to be broken, mistakes are meant to be made.
Yeah, because I think that many people, and here in Spain it happens a lot, people don't feel confident enough, and for that reason they avoid speaking. So they can write and read and they understand everything, but they never dare speaking, and you have to. And if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. It's part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you find it fun though? Like, I think I'm a bit weird because I find it fun making mistakes. Like all the time I make mistakes in Japanese, and I love it.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like, oh, I'm going to learn something new, you know?
I'm making up words. I make up words all the time.
Honestly, I do it all the time.
In every language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time in English and Spanish. So the answer would be picking them up in context. So if you, like, the best way to learn phrasal verbs, I would not recommend memorizing from lists. Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, someone just said in the chat, oh, but that's easy. This is an easy question. Yeah, but is it? Because I get so many questions of like, Emma, can you send me a list of the most common phrasal verbs? It's like, no. Because what's common for me to use and what's common for you to use or someone else to use, my boyfriend works in a hospital. Maybe the phrasal verbs he uses are very different to the ones that we use as teachers, you know?
Of course. And then, well, what's the point of studying a list if you can't put them in a sentence?
Exactly.
So it's much better to learn them in context.
Yeah, 100%. So much easier. It makes it makes the process less overwhelming.
People is just to choose phrasal verbs they think are handy and use them. Make sentences. Yeah. Maybe when they are cooking. Okay, I'm gonna use some cooking. I don't know. I'm gonna heat up this, and I'm gonna do this and that. So just make it meaningful. Exactly. Because otherwise, you learn the list, and 2 days later, you don't remember half of it. So, what's the point?
Exactly. You won't remember them. It's way too overwhelming as well. Like if you see a list of like, I still remember when I was at uni. and I was studying in Tarragona. So I did an exchange there for 1 year. And I still remember I was sitting in the canteen, and there was a girl from one of my lessons in there, and she looked like really stressed out, like literally like about to cry, you know, looking down at this like book. And I walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she said, "Oh no, I've got a test this afternoon." So what do you need to do? Can I help with anything? And she said, "Emma, just please tell me." And she gave me this book, and I would say it was, let me just put that there. I would say, this is actually my Japanese book. It was about, say, this thick. Okay, where's this book? Yeah. And she said to me, "Emma, please tell me that you don't know all of the phrasal verbs in this book." And it was literally a list of phrasal verbs. Just so it would show the phrasal verb, and then in Spanish, just a list, a book this thick. And I was flicking through. I was flicking through it, phrasal verb. I was flicking through it, and I just looked at everyone like, "Yeah, I think I know pretty much all of them. Maybe one or two, I don't know, but because there's no context, you know."
Yeah.
But yeah, I know them all. She was like, "How?" I said, "Because when natives learn phrasal verbs, we do not sit with a book like this."
Yeah, yeah. And it takes you years. I mean, you are not born knowing the phrasal verbs. It takes you several years.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time. So be patient, people.
Yeah.
And then somebody is asking, what is the best? Learning reading or from listening? And it doesn't really matter.
Both?
Yeah, both. You have to listen to the language as much as possible, read as much as possible, get as much input as possible, and that's the way.
Does it? Exactly. Because if you limit yourself to just one source of input, then you're neglecting all the other skills. If you're only reading, and then when it comes to listening, you're going to really struggle with listening. Yeah.
And this is a problem here in Spain, that for many years, English has been taught through texts and grammar, and that's it. So, for
translation.
It was my case that at the school, my marks were quite good, but then when I moved to the Netherlands, I was unable to have a conversation. For me, it was like, why don't we write through a notebook? I write the sentences or something, because I don't get what people, I didn't get what people were saying, and I couldn't say a word because I knew how to write fairly well, but I didn't know how to speak, and I didn't understand anything. That was really crazy. So yeah, a bit of everything. And it not only reading, I would say not only reading and listening, but also writing and speaking.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't have nobody to talk to, record yourself and listen to yourself afterwards or something.
You've always got yourself at the end of the day. You're never truly alone.
Yeah.
It's true. Someone asked a really good question in the chat. Fahad asks, phrasal verbs, as far as I know, are used in informal language in conversations. Am I right? What do you think?
Well, it depends.
Exactly.
It depends on the
You took the word right out of my mouth.
You have very formal phrasal verbs which nobody would use in conversation too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends. It depends on many things. And also formal was formal, and was not formal was informal. But I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's no answer.
The answer is it depends.
Yeah, it's like
which I hate saying. Yeah, but it's true. Anyway, let's have a look at question number 2. What time are we on, by the way?
I don't know. It's like, well,
we're not even on round 2. We're over halfway through. So question number 2. Oh, let me get my pop socket out, and then I can hold my phone. So, at what age does it become impossible to learn a language? Okay. What age does it become impossible to learn a language? After 13 years old? After 50 years old? Or never? It's a myth. A myth. A myth is like a lie. Yeah, like an untrue story, untrue fact.
Yeah, kind of fantasy.
Yeah. You could say that, yeah. What age does it become impossible? Oh, my phone's focusing.
So, never. Yeah, this is actually an interesting question because when I was at uni, I was taught something that it might be true or maybe not. But, well, everybody's saying sí. But it is true that when I was at uni in linguistics, they say that you are not able to learn a language properly after you are 13. That's true.
Yes, the critical period hypothesis.
Critical period, exactly.
Remember it very well. Very controversial.
Isn't it? And, well, I think everybody's going for C. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. So never, it's a myth. Yeah, I would say so as well. I think though that it's definitely, how do I put it? I would say maybe it's a little bit easy when you're a child, but not because you're a child. I would say that children, they don't really care about, they don't really care about making mistakes. You know,
or trying.
That's it. When you're an adult, you care about what other people think about you, and we don't want to sound stupid. We don't want to sound like an idiot. We don't want to sound unintelligent. We don't want to kind of sound childish either. Yeah. So, as an adult, we become more self-conscious about making mistakes. While as a child, we don't really care. Like, I still remember.
We don't even think about it.
Exactly.
It's not that we don't care. It's like that doesn't even exist in our world.
Exactly. We just want what's ever here to come out of here and go in here of the other person. That's it.
And we don't care.
Yeah.
As long as we get our message across.
Yeah. And that's it. It's you know, it's so simple. And as adults, I think we just care too much. The moment you stop caring what other people think you sound like is the moment you win. Like, you win at everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also think this critical period they talk about can be somehow true for your first language. Because research says so. So if you've never spoken a language and after 13 you want to learn, it's quite difficult because, for your brain there's not even such a thing as a language. But you already speak a language, so getting a second one can be done at any age. It can take you longer the older you are. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think it depends on your age, but on many other things. Like, I don't know, the way you learn, the time you spend on it, whether you risk or not can make it,
the type of input you have.
Yeah, so there are many factors implied there. So age is just a tiny one. So I don't think it's that important.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Let's go on to question number 3, the last one. The last question. Okay. To improve your speaking skills, this is something we talked about before. Improve your speaking skills, you should speak more, only read, or write some essays.
So.
It's definitely C.
One, huh? Wow.
But again, I've included this because I get asked this almost every day. How to improve my speaking?
No way.
I get asked it a lot.
That's crazy. My goodness. Well, here they're saying A. Of course, A.
Oh, it's not letting me turn my camera around for some reason. Not sure why. No. Ah, well, that.
As well.
Yeah. It's obviously A. It's obviously A. But I get this so much. Honestly, Nena, I can show you my DMs, and they're like, "How do I improve my speaking? How to improve my speaking? I've got no one to speak to. How to improve my speaking? By speaking, open English, letting sound come out, and that's how you improve."
It's like saying, "Wow, can I improve my listening through reading?" No, obviously not. You know.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Come on.
Exactly.
And it's as we were saying before, if you have nobody to talk to, well, just speak to the mirror, speak aloud, record yourself.
Sing.
Yeah. You have to
Sing
speak,
song.
you have to make, and I think that especially for sounds we don't have in our first language, we have to practice making these sounds aloud, obviously, because in our heads everything sounds fine.
Yeah.
You know? But when it comes out, it's a different thing. So you have to train and train. Where do I put my tongue? Here, is you know, you have to go through that.
I just seen as well. So my dad is in the chat. Hi, Dad. He always says, "Have you? You must have seen The Simpsons, right?"
Yeah, of course.
You know Ned Flanders?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what he says in Spanish, but in the English version, he always says, instead of "how you doing," says "how you diddling." Okay. And my dad always says, "Hi, how are you diddling?" So I'm diddling fine, Dad. Thank you. So it's a stupid Simpsons thing that we do.
In Spanish, Flanders makes everything like small, so he says like "Hola, vecinito."
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Ito, Enita, and that makes him sound that way.
Yeah, the way he sounds.
The way he sounds.
Yeah. Because I don't know how you would describe the way he speaks. It's Ned Flanders, isn't it?
Flanders way.
Yeah. Anyway, we still have some time to go on to round 2, but we might need to do like a
quickly
session.
Let's do that. So how to learn vocabulary? Easy one. There we go. We should memorize lists of vocabulary. True or false? Easy one.
True.
We've mentioned this before. So true, totally true. Yeah. Of course not. Please, people, don't memorize lists. Use things in context. Try to get input, and that's it. I go for the next one because we've gone through this like in detail. So the best way to learn vocab is using it in context. True or false?
False.
True.
Oh.
And the last one. So we need to know a lot of vocab to communicate well.
True.
Is this true? Do you think it's true?
True.
Yeah. No, of course not. Oh, shit. So this is something my students worry about a lot, and they always say, "No, you have vocabulary." Well, you don't need to have a lot of vocabulary. You can explain things, you can describe things, you can, I don't know, paraphrase. There are so many ways to get your message through. You don't need to know the vocabulary. Nobody knows, like the average somebody knows from their first language is what, 60%?
Yeah.
So we want to be more than a native speaker. That's not gonna happen. So don't worry. As long as you can explain what you mean, use synonyms, that's all right. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And what has to happen as well with people is like, if they don't know a word, they'll get blocked. And like, I'm sure you've been in the same situation. I've definitely been guilty of this. When speaking Spanish or Portuguese or something. Not yet Japanese, because my Japanese level isn't there yet. But sometimes in the past, what would happen is I would want to say something, and it'd be like da 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 da, oh, I don't know this word.
Shit.
Therefore, I can't continue this sentence because I don't know this word.
Yeah. And
you know,
you go blank. Totally.
Exactly. And then you panic. And then the other person's looking at you like, is this person weird? And then you start panicking. Oh my God, they think I'm weird. It's just a vicious cycle. So if you're ever in a situation where you go blank, you need to kind of, if this is the word you're trying to find, you need to find a way to go around the word. So you could just keep the conversation going, just as you do in your native language. I'm sure
actually,
in Spanish you do the same.
That's a great way to learn new vocabulary. If you have a conversation with somebody and then you get to a point where it's like, oh shit, how do you say these words?
Yeah.
Go and say, how do you call this thing you use? And somebody will tell you, it's a drill. Yeah, a drill. And I think you learn a lot and your vocabulary will improve just trying new things and trying to explain things and asking people to, how do you call this? Somebody will tell you. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to play this game with my students where, I mean, from time to time, not all the time. If we've got like a spare 5-10 minutes at the end of the lesson, I'll sometimes do this, where we need to describe something and the other person has to guess what the object is. Yeah. And it's such a good skill to develop is trying to describe something without knowing the name of it. It's definitely one to
what I also do to teach vocabulary actually is that I give students certain vocabulary related to one topic. I don't know, they have to learn the environment or whatever. But I give them a few words, not many, and then they don't have to study them the next day. They have to come with a definition with their own words. To explain the words. So if they don't remember the word in the future, they might remember how to describe them. You know?
Exactly. Or at least the definition. Yeah. No, colors or something. Yeah. Exactly. The most useful word I've ever learned in Spanish is cosa, thing. Yeah. Like, as soon as I learned that word, I was like, oh, I can describe anything. You know, once you learn the word thing, it's the thing you use to da-da-da-da. It's the thing that looks like. Yeah. The best word is thing. Let me go through my questions as well. So again, we'll do a quick fire round. And let's see how we do. It's also getting a little bit, I guess it's getting a little bit dark, but I think you can still see me okay. I might need to well. Good. Okay, so quick fire round. Native speakers are always the best teachers. That's a big fat hairy lie, or that's completely true? What do we think? Native speakers are always the best teachers.
I shouldn't answer this question.
Because you know it's B, right? It's definitely B.
I know, but don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Please don't tell my students.
I'm glad that people are saying A. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Nena likes this.
B, okay, bye.
Yeah. Anyone who said B, you're banned. Banned from the chat. Okay. It's so funny because when I do my Twitch streams, I say this during my Twitch streams, like, anyone who says it is banned from the chat, and my community know that this is like a catchphrase. It's like a whatever, like, if you disagree with me, you're banned. It's like this. And sometimes I forget that not everyone is like a Twitch viewer, and these like things that I say people aren't aware, so they believe me, you know. They're like, oh my god, you're gonna ban me. I'm not. But yeah, going back to this, it's a big fat hairy lie. Big fat hairy lie. Big fat stinky hairy lie.
There are native speakers who suck. And as teachers, I mean, they are great people, but they don't know how to teach, and I've worked with many of them. And the other way around. I mean, I don't think it's about being or not a native speaker, is it?
No, it's about being a teacher. Like it's for me, it's like so clear in my mind. Like again, I see the world sometimes in like very black and white ways. There's something maybe wrong with me, but I just see it as like, if the person is qualified and a good teacher, that makes them a good teacher. But as I always say, a passport is not a qualification. Like, I worked damn hard for my degree, I worked damn hard for my master's, and I worked damn hard for my CELTA. So for someone to basically say, like, I'm going to hire you
every day. I mean, I keep working every day to come up with activities or to, you know, so I mean... Yeah, I make mistakes very often because I make mistakes in Spanish too, but of course I make mistakes, so I mispronounced a word here or there, but that's not the point, you know.
I made a mistake right at the start of the stream. The native.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, so but really when you are a non-native speaker teaching the language, if you make a mistake, that's the end of the world, you know? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
So what? We all make mistakes. It's not... And if you are a qualified teacher, you really worry about preparing nice, engaging lessons, and so that's what counts.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the main thing. I think maybe the only time where a native may have a slight advantage, but even then it completely depends, is when you're maybe interested in like culture or certain systems, because I mean I have never been through the schooling system in Spain. I've never gone through the process of applying to university and stuff in Spain, so it would make more sense for me, for example, to ask you like, Nena, how was it in school for you? Because that's not something I went through. But then, I mean, you could talk to anyone about life experiences, but it doesn't have to be a teacher necessarily. Like, it doesn't make them a better teacher because they've had more life experiences, let's say. But I can understand if someone is really interested in certain experiences that someone who has not lived in that country hasn't experienced before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the
but
point
then you can ask anybody who has lived in that country. I have friends who are Spanish and have lived in London for years. That can explain many things about living in London, but they don't speak English. Well, so I mean, and on the other hand, I know a lot about English history because I studied at university of the history of the language or stuff like that. So I mean, of course, I don't know where you have to go to get your, I don't know, a visa in, probably you don't, you know. So but it's true. There are certain things that only somebody who has lived in a certain country knows about how things work in that specific country. But then you go to a different one, because I have students who want to go to Australia. So even if you know, even you wouldn't really help certain
exactly
stuff.
So it doesn't mean like Emma the native knows everything about every system in every English-speaking country.
It's
not the case. It's completely different. It's like me asking you, what's the system like in Colombia? Like,
for example.
You both speak Spanish, but it's not the same at all. Which one are we on? Okay, so number 5. I think we don't have much time. I think okay, we've got a few minutes. Let's do this. So, grammar translation is one of the oldest language learning and teaching methods. A, that's a lie, or that's 100% true. So, grammar translation would be literally translating from English to Spanish, for example, or English to Persian or whatever. And, whoops, I've had the wrong one.
So, true, false? What's that?
No, it's true. Yeah, it's one of the oldest language learning teaching methods. When they used to teach Latin, They would translate literally word by word and just
Yeah.
translate. But yeah, we're the oldest.
Yeah.
One of the newest is
And after that
communicative.
came just the drillings, and so which were very
Yeah.
much better, you know.
Yeah, nowadays it
Very
tends to be like the communicative method and things, which is the one that I tend to use. Which one do you find you use the most?
I love task-based or communicative ones. Task-based is sometimes difficult depending on the context or depending on the time the students have. But yeah, it also depends on the students. I have students I do mainly conversation because that's what they need. I have students I prepare for exams, which is a totally different thing. But I love task-based.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, learning through doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's also people in the chat, many teachers may know this, something called the flipped classroom. Yeah. Where you basically like teach something beforehand and then in the classroom like you do that thing. So maybe I send you a video about how to use the past simple and then in the lesson we play some games together about, you know, using the past simple and stuff like that.
Stories, anecdotes, or stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then the last one is it's important that you speak perfectly all the time, especially to native speakers. A, that's true, or B, that's another big fat stinky lie, Emma.
Of course it's true.
Of course. I only want perfect English in my ears. So
if somebody makes a mistake, you just turn around and leave.
Spit at them. Yeah. So yeah, it's important that you speak perfectly all the time. Of course, guys, it is B. Another big fat stinky lie, Emma. Yeah. Even natives don't speak perfectly. I've made so many mistakes during this live stream. I made one right at the beginning. Did I cry about it? No. I just moved on.
Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
No. I'm going to be questioning everything I've done wrong in my life. But yeah, you just run. Yeah. It's falling apart quicker than my grammar. Yeah. Yeah, it's it's definitely like a skill, you know, trying to get over making mistakes. Again, it comes from like, you know, in your first language, you want to sound good, you want to sound perfect, and not sound like an idiot or a child or stupid.
You want to sound smart and interesting, but again,
you want to sound like an adult. Yeah.
But you're an adult, so it doesn't matter. People know. So I don't think making mistakes makes you, you know, less intelligent than what you are. You are who you are, and that's it. So forget about that. People try things, risk, and don't think about what other people think about you. And yeah, I think we have to finish.
Yeah, because I think it cuts out after an hour, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it doesn't do it anymore because I think once that it, you know, the live lasted longer, and then I thought, well, but just in case, let's say goodbye because I'm not sure.
Okay, I haven't done an Instagram live for a long time, so I forget.
So thank you, Emma, for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it was good. And thank you everyone for watching as well. Watching all the way to the end if you've been here since the beginning. Thank you.
And thank you everybody for the nice words because many people have been sending really nice messages. We love
nearly everyone.
Well, yeah, nearly everyone.
I always say nearly, so that was one or two.
Yes, in case. And I'm gonna save this if you want to watch it later or for people who couldn't be there. And we keep in touch.
Yeah. Well, I need to get back into live streams and stuff, so maybe we'll do another one in the future.
Yeah, let's do that. And have a good evening, you and everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Nena. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye-bye.